With the staging of my animation in progress, I need to spend some time formulating a strategy for all of my arcs. Arcs give us that illusion of depth. It creates an organic movement. It reminds our audience that gravity is being infused in every animation frame that we create. There is no movement that is complete without an arc. So we need to go in and start planning the arcs of my little animation here. And as one might imagine, I'm going to use the arc tool to help me figure out how I'm going to draw these arcs. And this is a process of exploration. I'm going to go into my drawing system, and right here in my toolbar, right below the little zigzag line, is a tool that allows me to create some arcs. And I love this tool because it allows me to very quickly go in and start plotting and planning. Now, one of the things that I'm going to try to do is that I'm going to try to initially create the arcs in the dead center of the ball itself. That way it's kind of lined up. Of course, the arc tool, when you're drawing it, allows you to create these cool little handles. These yellow handles change the position of the first and last point along the curve. And this light blue one is going to allow us to play and experiment around with the actual height of the arc itself. And this is where our animations begin to come to life a little bit, and it's incredibly exciting. Now, there's a couple ideas in here that you may want to consider as you're messing around with your arcs, and that really has everything to do with where the arcs are going to generate, where the center point of that arc is going to be. Is it going to be down here at the bottom, or is it going to be in the center? Whatever way you choose is fine. It really is fine. Just be consistent. Use the same location in your layout so that way you have a really consistent result. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to do mine in the center just because it's a little bit easier for me to see. Now for this object, it's taking the material called ball, which I don't want. It's getting a little bit difficult to see the underlying animation frame. So let's do this. I'm going to go in, and I'm in my material library, and I'm going to create a simple new material called guide layer. Excuse me, let's try that again. Let's call it guides. There we go. And I don't want it to be a fill. And the color, I'm going to choose just a real light blue, I think. Yeah, there we go. I like that. If we return to edit mode, I can select the stroke and assign that guides material to my object by hitting the assign button. There we go. And now we can start to prototype what this is going to look like. And I'm pretty pleased with this result so far. Okay, so let's return to my, my strokes here. And let's go to draw mode and continue the work of our arcs. Now, the beginning of the next arc should be at the conclusion of the first one. So I'm going to start right here inside of my interface, and I'm going to draw a little line. So I'm going from the center point of the second ball to the center point of the third ball, and then I can left click and drag and experiment around with how I want my arc to go, the height of the arc. Now, as the ball goes through its movement, it's going to lose some energy, so the arcs should be getting smaller as they go. Since we're working in perspective, I think the stair-stepping of this is going to be a little bit reduced. Yeah, somewhere right around in there. I'm also looking at the slope of the arc. This is just purely visual, by the way. I'm experimenting. This is the cool thing about working inside of our tools, is I can just kind of experiment with the height, the location of that arc, and just try to find something that I'm generally pleased with. Yeah, somewhere right around there. I think that's pretty good. Hit the return key to accept it. Let's get that third jump in here. So center of the second ball to the center of the third ball. You can start to see that our arcs are getting wider as they get closer to the frame itself, which makes sense because the distance the ball is traveling between the second animation frame and the third animation frame is much more significant. So it's important that they be wider. There we go. I'm liking that. And then a final one from the center of the third ball to the center of the fourth ball. Something a little bit like that. Yeah, I'm digging that. That's a good place to begin. Now, I think I've kind of messed up a little bit here, and I want to go back in and refine some of my arcs. So once again, if you return to the edit mode, I'm going to start selecting, and I think I want to work, on this arc right here. Zoomed in to select it, and I'm going to use my curve editing tools for me to very quickly go in and just grab some of these points. I'm going to go into my point selection state. I don't want that one. I want to dissolve some of these points in here. There we go. Hitting the X key as a reminder. That way it gives me a nice kind of even arc. We'll grab the tangent handles Yeah, now what I'm looking to establish here is kind of a nice straight line between the top of this arc over here and the top of that one. Well, if that's my goal, let's just draw me a reference line. Yeah, now we can kind of see where that arc needs to be. I like that. There we go. Yeah, it needs to be kind of right in there. Same with this one over here. Let's do it real fast. Let's grab that point. The G key to grab. Let's bring it up. It's got some friends down over here that we don't want, so we'll dissolve those as well. Oops, excuse me. Grab the wrong one. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's see if that works. I'm going to grab this reference line up here, and let's just get rid of it. Don't need to be in curve editing mode anymore. There we go. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I'm liking this. This is pretty good. If anything, I need to make a small adjustment to this last arc here. But this is just a prototype. This is just kind of the first idea of the staging coming out in front of us. These are designed and intended to be changed, and the animation of this is going to change the arcs as well. As these guide layers, they're just the first pass at creating all of these ideas. The actual movement itself is going to change all of these arcs a little bit here in a minute. So I'm not too worried about any of those future changes. We'll get there. But this is a great way to use the arc tool to infuse the movement arcs for our animation. Use this tool, and don't forget, arcs are everywhere, even in a ball that's bouncing from the back of the scene to the foreground of our scene.